What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Gotta Get Back, the Samurai Jack and Review Show. My name is Kyle, your host, guys. Welcome to Project Potter. We are officially more than halfway now on episode 32 here as we make our way through season 3. If you haven't seen the show before, guys, it's a recap, a favorite character, it's a favorite scene, a score, and some trivia at the end here. So we're going to kick it off with a recap here. For this episode called Jack and the Traveling Creatures. And for a lot of the episode, that's exactly what this is. Jack has told a story. He's like, hey, we don't know who's talking, but he's like, hey, Jack, follow this creature, this little green guy, and he's going to lead you to this place. You're going to cross this big bridge. He's like, there's going to be a lake there. He's like, it's a magical lake, and that's where your journey begins. And so Jack is feeling confident. He gets there. I'm like, okay, cool. But it doesn't say what to do in the lake. But it's funny because it opens up and he literally just like walks right through. He just literally is walking straight to the lake. And for a little bit, he slowly sinks down. And for a little bit, he can stand. And then he hits a point where he cannot stand anymore. And it's almost like there's like a magnet pulling him down. Or maybe Jack just doesn't know how to swim. But I don't think that's the case because we've seen him swim before. He's pulling down and he like, there must be some sort of gravitational pull because he tries to get up and he's like struggling just to get up there. So Jack has to literally fight for his life to get back out. And he's panting and panting. And there's like a little bug that comes over and it doesn't go in the water. But these little green Cyclops guys in like robe almost look like Jawas. I'm sure they were inspired probably by them. And they come over and they have these little drums and they're beating these drums and they're hitting the water and they're like splashing the water and it's sending these signals. And what it does is actually call this giant creature out from the lake. It's like a huge, I don't even describe this thing. It's a big, like, it's got like bug eyes, but it's got like some weird stuff hanging out of its mouth. But it's like almost like a giant camel. It's basically just a creature with enormous legs. And so it stands, they get on its back, it stands up, and then it's like, but the legs are almost like spider legs. It's kind of gross. And he's walking across, and they're like, oh, well, in order to not drown, your legs need to touch the bottom. And so they're like, this is the only creature that can pass because it's the only one tall enough. So they get on here, and they're like, well, how do you use this creature? And he's like, we don't use the creature. He's like, it's his generosity that allows us to travel. And I was like, oh, that's a nice little touch there. But they get on here, and they kind of are going towards this island, and these creatures get off at the island, and then Jack is about to follow them, and the guy or the creature says, like, you said you're seeking like passage in time, because Jack actually asked him earlier, hey, I'm looking for a time portal. He wasn't speaking, so he assumed the creature didn't understand him. But he's like, oh, if you're looking for a passage in time, follow me. And so he gets on his back, and they go down like a different river, a different valley, and he gets to some place and just like yells. Oh, he's got like Zoidberg's mouth. That's what I'm thinking of. Like these tentacles. That's weird. But he gets to like a mountain and like yells at it. And then another creature comes down. It looks like I don't even know. It's like an armadillo basically, but it's got like pinchers and like 2 eyes on the side. And it's like, yes. And they're talking and then they're like, oh, is this the one? And they're like, I don't know. He does have a sword. And they're like, it could be. And they're like, he said he's seeking passage of time. And he's like, all right. And he's like, all right, you'll go with this creature now. And he gets on like this red pincer type of like creature, and they go up the mountain. And then it's like super, super windy at the top there. The creature like throws Jack up there. And then he has to fight like these wind creatures, and they make these really, really cool sounds. But he basically takes all of them down, like after his hair's whipping around and stuff, and he can barely see anything. Jack's been here before, though. So he beats all of them, and then the wind stops. And he's like, did I pass your test? He's like kind of annoyed at the creature. He's like, dude, I'm just trying to get to the portal of time. But he understands that he's being tested every way. So there's like a big, like kind of red dragon thing with a tail that looks like the end of a kite. He gets on that thing, and that's the next creature he's taken, and it kind of flies around, and then it just gets to a point where it just turns around and just dumps him, just like hundreds of feet off the ground. Jack is like freaking out for a second, but he lands on a couple like different like old structures there, so he lands safely, and then it's like an old like graveyard of like parts and swords, and looks like an old battleground of like giants and stuff. It's pretty cool. But Jack walks through there, and then eventually he climbs up and he goes through a couple passageways, and eventually he gets here. and this is where the portal is, and there's a guardian, and this is really, really cool. And this part I remembered. For whatever reason, when I think of Samurai Jack, there's like certain scenes that I will never forget. This is one of them. Because if you can't tell behind me, like it's a really cool backdrop. There's just like one portal, and it's really cool, and it's obviously like super powerful. And we've seen other ones, but this one looks the coolest. And there's one guardian in front of this one, and we haven't really had a guardian in front of the other ones. We've had like the portals there and Aku's beetles and stuff, but yeah, there's one guy. He's called the guardian, and he's like, excuse me, are you the guardian of this portal? He's like, yep. And he's like, okay, can I use your portal? And he's like, nope. And he's like, what? Why would you deny me this passage? And he's like, because there's only one guy prophesies to beat me in combat to use this portal. And he's like, you ain't him. I think he says like, there's only one guy to beat me in combat, man, and you ain't that man. And Jack is like, oh, okay. He's like, I didn't think I was going to have to fight for this, but I see now that it's impossible. He's like, I have come here. My cause is noble and just. He's like, I need to return to the past. And he's like, I will fight you because I need to defeat you to use this portal. And so he takes out, there's a really cool like blue shot of like the portal light reflecting him. And the portal light, even though it's just light, there's something about it. It just makes it like an awesome background. And you can really feel like the importance of the fight. And Jack takes out the sword. And he's like, oh, you're going old school with me, huh? He's like, I got one of those too. And he takes out the sword. And this dude is big, but he's got like a really cool like suit on, and he's fighting Jack when he's like toying with Jack, and he's kind of like laughing at him. And you know, eventually Jack kind of pushes back a little bit. His sword gets knocked out of the way, and then they've got again, I think another ode to TMNT, because they've got like the little knives that look like little trident knives. I don't know what they're called. And then Jack's got like a large staff there that he has to pick up, and it's purple. So I have to assume that's like an ode to TMNT. At least that's what I thought of. But he fights. He's like, oh, you're pretty good. But he's like, not good enough. And he snaps Jack's staff. And he's like, try dodging this. And he takes out a gun and he starts shooting at Jack. So Jack's now like running around. He's dodging the bullets, but now he picks up like 2 old shields. We've seen Jack use shields before. He puts them on both sides. He kind of like shields himself, no pun intended. And then the 2 like green missiles that come at him, he actually kicks back at the Guardian, and so he like ruins the suit. Now he just looks like the Hulk, and he's ripped. And he's like, "Dude, that you just ruined my favorite suit." Now he's angry, and so now he's like going against Jack, and he smashes one of the shields, and Jack is just outmatched, and he actually eats one of the shields like a savage. I don't know why he does that, but yeah, he's like, "I told you, man, you ain't the one." And he like, because Jack is like, "I've never faced someone with such strength." And it's like, dude, every episode Jack is now facing people who are stronger than the last people. And so he like pins Jack up against the wall and punches him a few times, and Jack is just completely beat up now, and he like throws Jack on the ground, and he's like just about to pass out. The Guardian picks up a huge boulder, and he's like just about to kill Jack, and the portal starts like pulsating like green. And he's like, oh, I understand. And he puts it down, and like the red dragon thing from earlier comes in. He picks up Jack, who's like passed out at this point, puts his body back on the dragon, and he's like, you can use this portal, Samurai Jack, just not yet. And he turns to the portal, and there's like a shot of him who looks a lot like King Leonidas in the 300 episode. And it's like Jack's got this flowing beard, and his cape is flowing, and he's got like a sword on what looks like the creature that we saw originally in the lake. And it's like showing that scene. We zoom in, and yeah, he's got a full beard and everything, and Jack's really determined. He's like, you can use that, Samurai Jack, but not yet. And it's like, whoa, that's pretty cool. And it kind of ends on that, and you're like, wow, dude, that's awesome. Like, I don't know, like, what does that mean? So it's crazy. I love stuff like prophecies and all that stuff. It's always really cool. So what a way to end the episode. Okay, guys, this is a pretty easy one for my magic sword for this week. It's the Portal Guardian. This is an awesome character, dude. He's like, I'm sure he's like one of the fan favorites in Samurai Jack. He's just super cool from his design. Jack first comes up to him. He's got just like red eyes, and then he's got just the suit, like an outline, and his suit is flapping, or his cape is flapping. And then he comes up eventually, and we find out he's like blue and stuff. I kind of wish they didn't reveal as much as they did, although they did have a really cool fight. But yeah, he's just super strong, and like sometimes when you get guardians of like portals and stuff, like they're easily defeated. And then I'm like, all right, well, who made you the Guardian? This guy like puts up the fight, and like Jack is the most skilled warrior we know, and he wrecks Jack like pretty easily. So it's really cool that like we know this portal must be really important, whether he's guarding it for Aku or whether he's guarding it for someone else, we don't know. But yeah, the Guardian is like one of the coolest characters, I think, in Samurai Jack. And I mean, just look at the shot, dude. It looks so good. And just the way that portal's set up too. I love how it's like tall and skinny instead of like one of the little like fat portals that we got. So, but yeah, the Guardian is sick, and love his design, love his character. Voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson, who is the only voice actor besides Phil LaMarr, I believe, to appear in every season of Samurai Jack. So that's really, really cool. But yeah, the Guardian is my magic sword for sure this week. And along those lines, guys, a portal in time. It's got to be this scene right here. Just yeah, the Minnow Graveyard. He says he's been guarding it, I think, for eons. And so you can see around him like all of the warriors have perished. And I think he said even like the biggest of titans and the smallest of combatants have tried. And there's like a little dude that's like disintegrated in the ground or something. I don't know. That was pretty cool though. But yeah, just this scene where he goes and finds the portal, especially because when Jack's traveling with the traveling creatures, we've seen him had so many like fraudulent stories where he's like, oh yeah, go see the wishing well. Oh, the well is tainted. Go see this. Oh, the lake, there's no, the worm is lying. And it's like, so halfway through you're thinking he's switching on all these creatures, and Jack is kind of annoyed, and it's like, is there even going to be a portal? Probably not. Then for him to show up and actually find a real time portal, and the Guardian's like, you can't use this right now. That's really, really cool. And it's like, oh, we're getting somewhere. Like, we're not just getting story after story that leads to nothing. It's like, this is like a really good kind of stepping stone to what could be. So yeah, this is my portal in time. No pun intended, for sure. Okay, guys, for a score for this one, honestly, the ending is really, really good. The beginning of this episode, even though I do like it, it kind of holds it back for me from putting it at a higher score. So I'm going to give this one an 8.9. This one would have been like mid-9s for me easily because of the ending there. But like, I liked that they were going to the different creatures, but it just felt a little too generic for me. I liked that they had the big creature at the beginning. The dialogue was good. So this is a well-made episode for sure, reflective of my score. But this could have been an all-time episode if it was just a little bit tighter, or it kind of grabbed my attention a little bit more. But the first like 75% of this episode, I was like, eh. It was only when Jack got to this portal room here that I was like, wow, this is really cool. And then what came of that, obviously. So, but yeah, still a good score. I like the idea that the giant creature in the beginning is like, oh, we don't use this creature. It's his generosity that lets us cross to the island. And it's like, oh, that's really, really cool. And then just like the fact that the other creatures have like a conversation before handing off to Jack. Like, oh, is he the one? Yeah, I think he has the sword, blah, blah, blah. It's like everyone's working together for this goal. And obviously the Guardian knows something that we don't, because he says like, oh, Samurai Jack, you won't, you can use this, but not right now. And he calls the dragon creature, and it's just really cool because it's like, it really makes the world feel connected in a way that it hasn't really felt connected so far. It's been like a little mini story after mini story. But this is really, really just a solid episode. Hey guys, so Jack Facts, this also ties into the episode here. And I was a little confused watching this episode again. So I'm glad that there were some trivia in here for Jack Facts. The most important one here, guys, it says, despite the foreshadowing scene at the episode's end, the Guardian's vision ultimately never comes to pass, as the portal is ultimately destroyed, nor does Jack ever appear as he does in the vision. So spoilers, that the portal gets destroyed. I do kind of remember that, but we'll get back to that eventually. And it says here, though, on the other hand, the vision shows Jack as a much older man with his hair starting to gray and become duller. I don't want to get into this one because there's spoilers for season 5, and I don't, on the off chance that someone is watching this watching Samurai Jack in unison with me for the first time, I don't want to spoil anything, and we'll touch on those when we get to season 5. So we'll skip that one for now. But there's one here. It says, it's possible that the Guardians claim that Jack couldn't use the portal yet, likely meant that he was not ready. and not supposed to use the portal to return to the past, but through other means. So that's an interesting bit too, but it is kind of a confusing vision at the end. It says here that another option could be that the older post-Aku Jack would defeat the Guardian and use his time portal after the final episode, but for what purpose is unknown. So that could be another thing too, but again, those are all kind of what ifs there. And then the last Jack fact here, guys, the time portal sentience, which basically is like when it's pulsating, when the Guardian's about to kill Jack and the time portal is like pulsating, it's like time portal's like, yo, what are you doing? This is, and the face that's been guarded for centuries, me, is a reference to Star Trek's episode, The City on the Edge of Forever, in which the crew encountered a living time portal known as the Guardian of Forever. So probably where Genndy got inspiration for that. And good job, Genndy, because I really enjoyed that part. So those are the Jack facts for this week. Okay, guys, so we are down another episode. Like I said, we are officially on the other end of the halfway point now. So we are getting closer and closer. And this was a big episode, kind of building towards that bigger goal, although there were some flaws, as we talked about in Jack facts with that vision. It's like, you know, did they throw that vision in there to throw you off the scent, to put in there? Did they want to actually write that in later and forgot about it, or didn't work with the story? I don't know, but it's still a cool moment. And it's still something that you kind of sticks with you, and just, I don't know, just something about the environment. Like I said, immediately I was like, oh, I remember this part of Samurai Jack. And there's a lot of episodes of Samurai Jack I do not remember. And then this one I was like, oh yeah, I remember, I don't know what episode or what season it is, but I was like, I remember this time portal, and it being like really cool and being like, oh, it felt like it connects to the larger story. So good episode. And thanks for checking out the channel, guys. Thanks for checking out Gotta Get Back. Like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal. Ring that bell notification. And until next time, guys, gotta get back.